the Stock It, Sponge It, or Sidestep It review of 3 books I recently read. This is my first go around at booktubing, and if it works out, you may see more of this format. If not, so let's get started. Okay, I want to talk to you first about The Husband's Secret by Liam Moriarty, which has been on my shelves for almost a year now. Moriarty is an author that I love. She's witty, she's funny, her characters are always three-dimensional, she has such a quick wit, a way with dialogue. I love her books. This one was a little different than I expected. The whole story centers around a letter that a husband wrote to his wife Cecilia, only to be opened in the event of his death. Now, if I found that letter like Cecilia did, I would be ripping that sucker open. I'd want to know everything about the contents of that letter. What is my husband hiding? Cecilia held out longer than I would, but when she finally did open the letter, I was in total shock. It was not at all what I was expecting. Now, I was thinking that this book was more romance and was really surprised that it wasn't. And I was really kind of happy about that. I think this is another of those cases of judging a book by its cover. Cecilia's story of finding her husband's letter isn't the only secret that a husband claims in this book. In typical Moriarty style, there are subplots with more secrets surrounding another husband that I won't go into because there's no way to go into it without spoiling the story for you. So I won't do that. But there is also a mystery involved that encompasses all of the subplots. Now, what's special about this particular book is that Moriarty has basically given us a character study in human behavior, and more specifically in human reactions. How would I react to my husband, doing something so morally wrong and keeping it a secret? Would I be craving justice for something that caused me a 30-year heartache, grieving? How would I react to betrayal from my best friend and a family member? Where would my loyalties lie? Would I become lawless, and also would I be morally wrong in, retribution? All of those questions, would I do the right thing by everybody, even if it hurt my family? So Moriarty did a really good job of bringing all of those questions to the front of my mind. With regard to the mystery in this book, we do learn the whodunit about 50% of the way through, but it's not an accidental leak or spoiler, because knowing the whodunit in this book actually makes sense to the character study that plays out, with the focus more on the reactions that actually spiral from that letter. What's the downside for me with this book, because there is one, is the ending. Now, I didn't get the ending for all of the characters that I wanted, which really goes against what I would want for these characters in real life. So I kind of had an internal conflict about the ending, but that isn't really my gripe about it. The ending for me was wrapped up a little too tidy, a little too abruptly, and I didn't like that about it. I wanted kind of more of a gradual ending, and I didn't get that here. But overall, it's a good book. It's one that I recommend. It's one that I say stock it on your shelves. Read it. It's good. It's worth it. Okay? The second book I want to talk about is an ebook that was a gift from a publisher for being a longtime subscriber to the newsletter. And it's on an app that I recently wrote about on the blog called Gloss. The book is A Window Opens by Elizabeth Egan. Now, I went into this book wanting a comical, happy, funny book because I need it this month. This was not it. This was not it. Okay? I was expecting to laugh out loud or be filled with smiles of cuteness, but the wind was totally knocked out of my sails. My balloon landed. This book started out so promising and so cute, with the main character, Alice, as a little girl who is called the Book Lady by her family. She's packing all of her little children's books into her luggage, dragging them out to the yard to her father, who pays her money and buys them from her. He later sneaks them back into her room so that she can pack them again and sell them to him again and again. And it was so cute. The relationship between father and daughter in this book is amazing. Alice has grown up after that and married to an attorney. She's your typical suburbanite wife, mother of 3, and works part-time for a magazine writing book reviews. Now, all of a sudden, her husband quits his job after receiving some bad news and decides to open his own law practice. So she has to get a full-time job because life as they know it is over. They're going to be struggling for money, so she decides to look for a full-time job and finds her dream job as a bookseller. She's finally going to be the book lady for real. But she's not going to be selling books in a brick and mortar store. She's actually going to be selling ebooks for a new and upcoming company that's basically threatening to put independent bookstores out of business. Can you say Amazon? Anyone? Well, what's so intriguing about this book is that I read somewhere that the author actually worked for Amazon. So this is kind of mirroring her time at Amazon. Now, there is an emotional aspect in this book that hit a little too close for home for me, and I didn't want anything deeply emotional. And well, it's not deeply emotional, but it did hit, it hit me in the heart and it hit too close to home at this time of the year, which probably affected my opinion of the book. Now, I wanted something comical and light, and the timing of my reading this book may have skewed my opinion more than anything else. Plus, it's more of a book about ebooks versus bookstores than anything. Now, another thing that bothered me about this book is the plot. The plot kind of went bleep, and that kind of turned me off. It was very, yeah, that. But it really is interesting. There are a few cute and comical dialogues from Alice's children, from the mouths of babes and all that. It is one that I think you might enjoy. I know it's on a lot of anticipated reading lists. It's a cute read. It's not great. It's not the next epic read. So a window opens. Yeah, it's one that I would say sponge it from the library or borrow it from a friend. I'm glad it was a gift to me. I enjoyed it for what it was, but I'd say sponge it. Okay, the last book I want to talk about quickly is Vincis Tiger by L.M. Elliott. Now, Vincis Tiger is a young adult book that I received in my monthly subscription package last month, and art lovers are going to eat this one up. The fact that marries with the fiction in this book is amazing. The writing is beautiful. Is it great? No, but I liked it. I like the story. I like the characters, the descriptions, the setting in Florence, Italy. It's in the Renaissance time period, and the Renaissance time period I loved. It's very Camelot-like. You have the jousting, the competitions. The main character is a young girl who was put into an arranged marriage in her teens to a man who's twice her age. Now, he's a big fabric guru and all about the textiles, someone whom her family viewed as successful and a suitable match for her. But she wants to feel alive. She loves art. She loves poetry. She writes poetry. She and her husband have less of a marriage and more of an arrangement of living together, but they're, in the beginning, they're mutually respectful of each other. Neither of their hearts are really in the marriage. She's really kind of a spitfire in this book, which I loved about her, but what really draws you in is Leonardo da Vinci is a main character in this book as a young person who's very eccentric or more awkward, I guess, but very talented, and he wants to paint her. There are some trigger warnings in this book. Now, even though it's young adult, there is a sexual assault in this book. It's very tastefully done. It's very tactfully done and beautifully written, but it's still out there, okay? But overall, I like this book. It wasn't great for me. There are a couple things. The dialogue is the main issue that I have with this book. The dialogue to me sets the time period as much as anything, and this dialogue would sometimes go from Renaissance to contemporary, and I want this dialogue to transport me to this time period, to this location, put me in Florence, Italy in the Renaissance period. But overall, I would say, yeah, sponge it from the library. Okay, that's all. 3 books: The Husband's Secret, A Window Opens, Vincis Tiger. Stock it, sponge it, sidestep it, and have